Are you ready to organize your amazing ideas into a powerful book? You are in the right place at the right time to learn how to write your book. Hi, I'm Joyce Class, and welcome to the Write Hour, nonfiction tips from the Write Coach team. We are so glad you joined us today. Hello. Welcome, everybody. This is the Write Hour with Joyce Glass, and I have the beautiful Alyson Lex with me. So glad to have you, Alyson.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. We're going to have fun today.
Yes, we are. We had a great conversation when we met each other through Clubhouse, and so we did a call and talked a really long time and got to know each other, so that was loads of fun. So I'm excited about this because this is something that I bet you almost every writer struggles with. Lead magnets. Today we're going to be talking about lead magnets. Hey, Sherilyn's here. If you're here, say hello and where you're from. And yeah, Sherilyn helps me some with the Write Coach. So she is one of my buddies that does a lot to help things out. And Abby wants to share her squeak toy with everybody. So if you're squeaking, Abby, we're doing a live stream. No. She's looking at me like, what? So welcome to live. You get dogs making squeaky noises. Well, tell us a little bit about you and your journey to copywriting. And while you do that, I'm going to get Squeaky to stop.
Yeah, I was just actually sharing this on my own timeline. So we're maybe have some of my friends pop by. So my journey to copywriting, I fell into it by accident. I was in school to be a teacher, and then I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. Hi, Doug. Awesome. And so I bounced around a little bit. I changed my major to psychology. I double majored in psych and English and minored in creative writing, which will be important later. And then I decided it was time to get a big girl job because I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. And I started working at a company called Glazer Kennedy Insider Circle, answered an ad off Craigslist back before it was weird and creepy. And I ended up writing for Dan Kennedy and Bill Glazer, who are two incredible copywriters, and I had some amazing mentorship. And I started writing in 2007, so I'm coming up on year 14 of being a copywriter and loving every minute.
Awesome. So what does a copywriter do to help their clients? I moved the toy and she still got it.
So when you are a copywriter, there are a couple of different kinds of copywriters. You're going to have copywriters that you tell them what you want to write and they write it. And they're awesome. And you need those copywriters. I tend to be more of a marketing strategist and a copywriter. So I actually work with my clients to develop campaigns, figure out what they should do, put together the ideas, and then I write the copy and help them implement it through my partners and things like that. So sales pages, landing pages, emails, marketing materials, things like that. You will have copywriters who will write ads or social copy. That's not my forte, so that's not where I live. Right. I really am I call it post traffic. You bring me people, I will convert them.
There you go. Make them raving fans is what I call them.
Yes, 100%.
So how can writers help their readers before their book is ready? Because I know this, like we were mentioning before, is a big problem for a lot of writers. You know, they hear this term lead magnet and they're like, what the heck is that? And why do I need that? And what does it do? And it kind of explain what a lead magnet is.
Sure.
And how it can help them.
For sure. So before we even get to a lead magnet, there are a couple of things that you want to do when it comes to helping your audience with the content that you're putting in your book. Okay, the first thing is, of course, social media. The content in your book obviously helps them. If they consume the entire book, it takes them from point A to point B in a transformation. Well, actually, let's say point A to point Z in a transformation. Okay. So that is your whole book. But point A to point B is this nice little chunk that you can share on social and really dive into that and help them see a win now for free. Yes, we'll talk about that in a minute, for free. And what that does is that helps them understand, hey, this is something that's good for me. Hey, this is someone I may want to work with. Okay, so a lot of people create a book, write a book, and publish to support their coaching or service businesses.
Right.
And so this is a really great way to begin building that audience, building that credibility, building that authority, all of that stuff, and starting to build the demand for what it is that you offer. Okay, so that's part
Right.
one of how you can help people before your book is even published. The other way is things just like this, a podcast tour, right? Get on podcasts, talk about not just your book, but what your book teaches. Again,
Right.
we always want to lead with the value to the reader or the watcher or the listener or the consumer, rather than just showing up and saying, hey, buy my book.
Exactly.
Because that's not going to sell books.
No,
Okay.
you've got to give them value. And I like that where you
Exactly.
take a nugget of truth out of your book
Mhm.
and expand on it for a podcast or a guest blog
Exactly.
post or somehow some kind of giveaway on your website.
Mhm.
Those are ways that are good. Now, I have to say, that is hard. Can you give some concrete examples to help people kind of spur them some ideas?
Sure. So, I'm going to try and be really general just to meet everybody because, I could be talking about business books, but if you have a relationship book, you're like, I don't know how that applies. Okay. So, the first thing I want you to do is look at each chapter. Look at each chapter as an arc in the story. Okay. So, think about a book as a 13 or 26 episode season of your favorite TV show. Okay. The whole season has a story. Let's think about especially like the Law and Order SVU. Each season has an overarching story where little bits of it happen in each episode. But
Right.
each episode also has its own story.
Right.
So that is your book is the season and a chapter is the episode. So what story or what transformation or what lesson can you distill from each chapter? Well, now that is a podcast topic.
Right.
So if you have a book on maybe, I don't know, escaping toxic relationships, right? Maybe chapter 1 is identifying toxic relationships.
Right.
Chapter 2 might be self-confidence to escape, right? I'm obviously making this up, not an expert on that. But so you would have a podcast topic that says, I'm going to help your listeners identify whether they're in a toxic relationship or friendship. Or I'm going to help your listeners begin to develop the self-confidence to exit a toxic relationship or friendship, right? And if you have a business book, and let's pretend it's funnels A to Z.
Right.
Right? So step 1 in your funnel is chapter 1 and step 2 is chapter 2. Those are now podcast topics. We're talking about the copy for your funnel. We're talking about your sales page. We're talking about your email. We're talking about your landing page. All of those different pieces of a funnel, a marketing process, if you will. Now they're individual podcast episodes. They are long form webinars. You can distill it and chunk it down even further. Like here's one tip to make your copy better and turn that into a short Facebook or Instagram live or a Reels or a Clubhouse room or whatever you want to do to put content out there. That's how you can actually take what you've already written or outlined or whatever phase you're in of creating your book.
Right.
And turn it into content that will help your audience and show them the value that you have for them.
Right.
The idea go ahead.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Because what I love about that is you don't have to keep creating more content.
Right.
You have content in your book. It's a matter of repackaging it and sharing it in a different form.
Exactly.
And when you do that, then your people are getting to know you. And they're like, oh, I really like the way Alyson explained that. I want to know more about Alyson and how she can help me. That's exactly what you want to do. Whatever your book's about, whether it's relationships, politics, spiritual, health,
Right.
wealth. What is it? It's wealth, health, and
Health, wealth, and happiness.
Happiness are your big three. It's going to fall in one of those three. And when you do that, and you know that that's your focus, and you know who you're focusing for, then you go find these places. I actually met Alyson in a Clubhouse room. So goes to show, Clubhouse is really unique, and I'm enjoying it. It can be overwhelming, but you gotta I take it in little bites because I can't. You could spend all day on Clubhouse.
Some people do, for sure.
Yes. And if you can do that, great. But if you can't, then just go and pick and choose what works for you and find connections. And that's the big thing, is finding connections with people. So I met Alyson. Alyson and I know each other now, and she's on my podcast, and I'm going to be on hers at some point. We're helping each other out. I'm introducing her to my people, and then she'll introduce me to her people. Those are the people that I don't know that maybe at some point in the future I can help, and vice versa. Exactly. So that's it. That's what you're trying to do here with this lead magnet and this connection. And if you think about it as connecting with people and not this thing you have to create, because a lot of people, I know even me, I kind of get stuck. To helping writers, there's only so much information you can give about helping writers. Okay. There's a lot of different ways you can say the same thing, but it's all the same information. You just say it 15 different ways.
There's no new information out there. There might be a slightly new strategy or a new take on something.
Right.
But really, it's all just kind of the same stuff. It's just when you put it in different formats.
Right.
When you have a blog post, when you have some social posts, when you do a video, when you have maybe a worksheet, which we're going to talk about in a minute with lead magnets, you're delivering it in different ways that your audience can then consume, because not everybody learns the same way. Right. I love being on podcasts. I have a podcast. I can't listen to them. I can, but I can't listen to the ones that should teach me something, because I don't retain information that way. I need to read it. So it's a waste of time for me to listen to podcasts, because I get frustrated halfway through because I can't remember what they said 5 minutes ago. I don't remember what I said 5 minutes ago.
That's where transcriptions come in handy. If
transcriptions come in handy, yes. But by providing your audience information in a different way, you're teaching the people that want to be taught the way they need to be taught. That's really important.
It is, because there are people that audio is their thing, and making them read is torture. And I know for me, I have become more of an audio learner because I read so much for my job. And by the time I'm done reading for my job and editing, my eyes are done.
Exactly.
And my brain, my brain's it's tired of processing that way. But when I listen to something, I can be physically doing something else. I could be doing the dishes or going for a walk or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm not sitting in one place reading. And that is, for me, and at this point in my life and with what I do, that works better for me.
Exactly.
I can consume audiobooks like that. But I've got a book over here that I want to read that I haven't started reading, because every time I go to think, when I have the time to read it is really at night right before I go to bed. And usually I'm I want to read that, but my eyes are no. I really wish I had the audio version. So I get that. So that's something to be aware about, of that. your listeners, your readers, your clients, whoever you are trying to reach, they're going to learn and consume different ways.
Exactly.
And if you offer it different ways, then it's going to help.
Exactly.
So, definitely. So, can you go into what exactly is a lead magnet for those who may have no clue what we're talking about?
So I'm watching the comments too, and I see a couple of people say they're working on lead magnets or they have lead magnets. So that's excellent. Glad to hear it.
Yes.
For those that have no idea what it is, we're going to split a lead magnet into two categories: the kind that's in your book and the kind that's outside of your book.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the one that's outside of your book is going to be promoted either on social media, through affiliates and strategic partners, on podcast episodes like this, whether
Mm-hmm.
you pay for the ads, if you do a list build event, whatever you do, you're going to say, hey, I have this awesome thing. Okay, now the really important part is that it's connected to the stuff that you've been putting out there. So let's go back to the relationship coach that helps you get out of toxic relationships and friendships.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we've put out a bunch of videos and we've done a podcast tour on how to do that, or how to identify what a toxic friendship or relationship is. A lead magnet might be a checklist.
Yes.
Right? Or a quiz. Are you in a toxic friendship or relationship? That kind of thing. And so you spend some time creating the content. Here's how to identify. Maybe I'm on a podcast and I've done a 30 or 45-minute interview about it. By the way, I have this free quiz that's going to help you take what I've talked to you about today and apply it directly to yourself and kind of give you the answer you might be looking for.
Right.
Right? And it's free for them to sign up. The whole purpose is to get them to take the next step in their journey with you. That's it. So currently they're in your audience. They're listening to you. They're watching you. They're reading you. We want them to take the next step and raise their hand up and say, yes, I think, or I do have the problem that you've described, and I'm currently thinking about or looking for a solution.
Mm-hmm.
That's what your lead magnet does, is it helps you identify that. Now, the ones that are in your book are also known as potentially content upgrades, or I've heard them referred to as reader magnets by, a couple coaches, things like that. They are also related to your book, but this time they're related to your whole book, not just a chapter.
Okay.
Does that mean that you couldn't say, you know what, I've got this quiz, I can toss it in as a resource at the end of chapter 1? Sure. We don't necessarily want to make 10 different lead magnets. So maybe what we do is we have one. We have one lead magnet. It could be that quiz if you've identified that that is the ideal first step for them to take, which if you're a relationship coach writing this book, I think I'm giving you some good ideas right now.
Definitely.
But you say, okay, what is the first step I want them to take after they read this book? Keeping in mind, chances are not everybody's going to get all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
The purpose of your in the book lead magnet is to capture the leads from the sales that come outside of you. I'm talking about Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Amazon doesn't give you the buyer lists.
Right.
So we want a way to capture them for ourselves. This is where your content upgrade comes in. I've seen this executed really, really well in a few different books. One book, I'm happy to share the name if you want me to name drop, but
Yeah, that's fine.
Sure. So it was a Michael Port book, and he had a workbook created free for people who purchased the book. You go to a little URL that he printed right in the book. I went there, I downloaded it. He had my email address because that's what was required to download it. And even though I bought his book off of Amazon, he got my contact information, could tag me in his email system as book buyer.
Mm-hmm.
And now he knows, hey, Alyson bought this book. And she was interested enough to actually take the next step with me. That's cool.
Yes. I agree with Doug. It is brilliant. I was over here thinking this. That's perfect.
Yeah.
What other way are you going to get these people's information if you
You're
don't
not.
do something like that? And so if you have that one thing, hey, you want these extra resources that go with the book? Here you go. And
Exactly.
perfect way to do that. Love it.
Yeah. You could create a webinar or a video series or a video training that's designed to help them take another step beyond what your book helps them with and
That,
offer it for free.
and for Doug's book, that's a great idea. Doug, write that down. I
I
know
could
it's
talk about this for forever.
yeah.
When I was at Glazer Kennedy, we published a number of books for both Dan Kennedy and Bill Glazer,
Mm-hmm.
and they had a standard lead magnet, which was the entry into our membership. And we just put a first and last page. That was it. Nothing super custom or special. If we had customized it, we probably would have gotten a higher take rate, but we were trading on the name recognition, so we didn't have to do as much work, frankly.
Right.
But first and last page were a free offer. And again, I don't know if we really want to talk about it, but you know that Amazon does give a free preview of the first few pages of your book, right?
Right.
Do you maybe want to put a lead magnet in there? I mean, I'm not saying to, but I'm asking if you should.
That's an excellent idea, though. Write that down too, Doug and Sherilyn.
There are a lot of different ways to leverage your book out because look, we're not going to, unless you're Stephen King or who else is John Grisham?
Yep. Michael
Or,
Hyatt. And
right. You're not going to make money from the advances in sales of your books. You're going to make money from the clients that you generate using your book as a lead magnet, as the first step of your process, as the client attraction method, as an authority builder. And so let's look at how we can use your book to leverage things as much as possible.
yeah. Sherilyn says she's doing a video course with her book. So a lead magnet to that in your book would be great, Sherilyn.
Exactly.
That's an excellent idea. But now she did say up here, Sherilyn was saying that she is looking for a way to help drive traffic to her site for the lead magnet.
Yep.
Do you have any suggestions on that?
So the first thing that you want to do is make sure your lead magnet is hosted on its own landing page. Okay. So I'm going to try not to get too far in the weeds here, but let's just dive in. When you have a funnel, which is what you have, even if it's a 2-page funnel, landing page and thank you page is a 2-page funnel. All right. The whole idea is that you drive people to take the action that you want them to take. They can't do anything else. When you're promoting a lead magnet on your regular website, and Sherilyn, I'm not sure if this is you or if you have a landing page, but now I'm just going to kind of teach. If your landing page is on your regular website where it's got your nice navigation bar at the top and all of your stuff at the bottom with your social links and all that, you're not funneling them. You're just kind of hoping. Okay. So what we want to do is put it on its own landing page with no navigation at the top, no navigation at the bottom, except for privacy policy and terms and conditions. Those are required. And that will help improve conversions. Okay. So there are 3 things. Well, in this funnel, there are 2 things that we need to look at. How many people are clicking on the links that you're putting out? And how many people out of those people that are clicking are registering? Okay. If it's a low number on both, go ahead.
Say that again. How many people are clicking on what?
How many people are clicking on your link?
Okay.
And how many people are registering?
Okay.
If you use any kind of landing page builder, I'm a ClickFunnels fan. But if you use Lead Pages or any of those other kind of builders, they'll give you those numbers. They'll say 100 people came, 50 people opted in, or whatever your numbers are.
Right.
We want those numbers. If you have 5 people visiting, we need to work on traffic, and that's what Sherilyn said she needed. So there are 2 ways to get traffic. The first way is to pay for it. Facebook, Google, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube ads.
Right.
The second way is to work for it. Okay. And that's where things like your podcast tour It's all organic promotion, podcast tours, joint venture or strategic partnerships where you say, hey, will you promote me? And sometimes those can venture into pay for it territories as well, because there is such a thing as essentially sponsored emails. Hey, you have a really great list full of my ideal client. Can I pay you money to send an email to your list? That's a pay for it opportunity.
Yeah.
But really what you're going to do is build your community. So the first thing that I would do is fix your Facebook and your Instagram bio to tell them who you are, what you do, and how they can get more from you. Your lead magnet. So not that I'm asking you to, but I'm going to tell you, if you look at my Facebook personal profile, it says, get your 30-second headline generator, and I drop a link in there. Okay.
Right.
I am not expecting that my friends are going to flock to that. What I am expecting is that as I interact in groups, people are going to check me out. The first thing they're going to see is that little bio.
Right.
Now, I don't push a ton of traffic to that right now. I'm focused on some other things, but I get signups every single day from my interactions in groups. Okay. So it's very small. I'm not talking like 1,000. Like, let's not get, it's like 1 or 2 a day with no real effort pushed to it.
Right.
It's literally just me interacting in groups I'm in that maybe have my ideal client, people checking me out, people, you know, I'm in a lot of the you may know areas of Facebook, people just checking me out. They see it, they click, they sign up. That is the easiest way.
That's a great tip just right there. Being in groups that are dealing with your topic of interest and have your ideal people in it. Not that you're in there, link dropping, you're helping.
Right.
And when you help people, because I've had this happen too, when you help people, then they go check you out. Who's this? She had a really good idea. Who is this? And they go check it out, and then you can see your link. So that is actually another strategy. Wouldn't you consider that another strategy?
Absolutely another strategy. I'm dropping all over the place.
And it's one of those, it doesn't cost money, but it does take time.
That's why the 2 ways are pay for it or work for it. Yep.
Yeah. And so if you don't have a lot of money for paid traffic, then this is an option. Go and be involved in some other groups and give value to people. And then you'll be able to share your links, because sometimes it'll just come up in natural conversation and be like, how do you do copywriting? Oh, that's what I do. What's your question about that? And then they ask the question, oh, well, you know what? My blah, blah, blah would help you.
And you can always take them over to the messages.
Right.
And also keep in mind, the person you're having the conversation with is not the only person reading this.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I'll give you a funny on that one. So, there's a Facebook group for the lake that I used to live on. And it's possible that we may put our house up for sale. And I just mentioned that. I've had 4 people message me just off of that. Hey, this is what it is, and we may sell it, maybe not, I don't know. So,
right.
And so just to have people interested, and that was just from a comment, so and these people I've never met any of these people, and they start messaging me. So it's the same thing with when you're helping people, they'll see you're helping, and then they may ask you about something else. So
exactly, that's how it is. And lurkers are everywhere. So, even if the person that you're helping never reaches out, an example of this is, I'm in a lot of business groups, and somebody will say, who knows a great copywriter? And I have friends who love me and they'll tag me. And I'm very thankful for that. And of course, we have a reciprocal agreement with referral fees and things like that, so that they're happy to do it. And I will get messages and friend requests from people who did not ask the original question. Hey, I saw in a post, so-and-so tagged you. I heard you're a copywriter, or I heard you write copy, or this, right? Because they've checked me out. They've stalked me a little bit. So it's not just the person interacting with you. It's everybody else in the group that's going to read this information. Groups are amazing. You're muted.
Thank you. Little one needed out of the room. So.
I understand.
Anyways, I said that's great. And I think we've covered lead magnet, didn't we?
Yeah.
We got all
sure.
that. And traffic, the two ways to get your traffic to paid or to work for it. And you've talked a little bit about this, but what email strategies work to generate leads from, or generate sales from the leads?
So the first thing that we want to do, and that I do with all of my clients when we talk about an email strategy, is to identify what the assets are, what the goals are, really what we want them to do in what order.
Okay.
So, right, we've got to get a baseline of what's happening. I don't want to sit here and be pitching a $47 program if your real goal is to get them on the phone, right?
Right.
So obviously the strategies are going to change based on what you want them to do. Do you want them to buy right now, or do you want them to book a call? Do you want to just engage and launch something to them later? All right, so let's say we want to do something right now. I love that. And I am a big fan of hitting them while they're hottest. And they're hottest right after they raise their hand. Okay,
Right.
so in your lead magnet, you should have a pitch to whatever the next step is. Always. All right, it might be too soon for some people, and that's fine. They'll hang on your list until they're ready. If they ever become ready, not everybody will. But basically, I want to say, hey, thanks for downloading my free copy guide thing. Do you want some help with this? Let's talk. Right? Like, just, do you want some? Cool. I'm glad you did that. Here's what you can expect. And here's where some people get hung up. And I can help with that part. Let's talk, book a call. Or I can help with that. Here's my low ticket program. It's very difficult to sell a high ticket program over email.
Right.
And I'm talking like over $500.
Right.
You're going to need a call, most likely.
Right.
To
a webinar or something. Yeah.
It's even hard to close 500 and over on a webinar. In fact, if you're at 700 and over, I will absolutely not try to get you to sell it on a webinar unless you have, again, the name recognition of Michael Hyatt, Amy Porterfield, those big names.
Right.
Brandon Burchard, Tony Robbins, they can sell whatever they want. Right?
Here, Alyson wants his pen for $500. Okay, Yeah.
Right. Alyson Lex is going to need to get on a call if she wants to sell more than $500 to $700, and that's fine. So that's a really good strategy to keep in mind as far as your price and what you're asking them to do. So the first email, I have a whole sequence for this. The first email is the delivery email. Hey, you're going to reinforce the sale. Congratulations, you smart cookie, you snickerdoodle, whatever you want to call them, my little precious, whatever you call your people. You've made a really excellent decision because I'm going to help you XYZ, what you help them do in your lead magnet. Here's how you access it. Download, take the quiz, XYZ. Let me know how it goes. Can't wait to hear from you. Signature. Very simple. I'm glad you have this. But at the end, we're kind of basically saying, like, I'm expecting a response. Is everyone going to respond to you? No. Is the majority of people going to respond to you? No. But you're setting the precedent that you're expecting something in return. This is huge when it comes to your emails. So many people give value, give. And then all of a sudden they're asking for something and their people are like, what? No, you just give to me. I don't give back. If we can set up from the outset that I'm going to just expect a little bit back from you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not asking you for money. I'm just asking you for a reply, a little bit of time. It's one of the currencies that you can trade in, because money is not the only currency. Time, attention, relationship, and money, of course. And I have a fifth and I have forgotten it. So, but time, information.
There you go.
Whew. Time, attention, relationship, money, or information. So what are you asking for them or from them? Might be a little bit of time and a little bit of information, right? Reply and tell me what you thought or how it went.
Right.
Then in email 2, you're going to also reinforce that they did a great job. I'm so excited for you to use this. Have you done it yet?
Mm-hmm.
If you have and you've gotten stuck, here is one more little tip, or one tip that I help with.
Right.
If you need help beyond that, let's talk about XYZ. My call, my cheap product, my this, my free video series where I'm going to pitch you something, right? Whatever you want them to do next, this is how I help. Now, email 3, we're not talking about the lead magnet anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Straight on to whatever the next step is. A lot of my people experience XYZ, and I help you with ABC. It's time to get on a call.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I'm being very general and very short and quick, and I'm just off the cuffing these right now. It's really important to make sure you talk about them more often, more vehemently, more excitedly, and definitely much sooner than you talk about yourself. I don't want to see you mentioned in any email until at least halfway through.
Yeah, that's perfect.
No I, me, my, your name, your product, your book name, none of it. All about them.
Right. You want to get them to engage.
You want it. Exactly.
And if you get them to engage, then they'll keep reading.
Mm-hmm.
Or engaging in some form.
Exactly. And the easiest way to get them to engage is to talk about them. People want to read about themselves.
Yes. Love that. That is great.
Thank
so
you.
So that was that the 30 email you said?
About 3. Yeah. So then as you keep going, I usually do 7 to 8.
Yeah, that's
more hard-hitting sales. You can drop some content emails in there. And this is over the course of about 10 to 14 days, right? It's not the first 8 days. You can drop some just pure value emails in there. Hey, this is a story with a lesson, a fable, I guess. This is a step-by-step plan you can use. This is that. Whatever content you want to put in there, always have an ask. Let me know reply and let me know how it went. Join the Facebook group and tell us your story. Whatever your ask is at the end of every single email you do. No email should ever go out without an ask.
Right.
Because you're training your people to recognize that it's a give and take relationship.
I like that.
If they don't respond by email 7 or 8, at this point they've gotten a little cold. Okay. And that's okay. But now it's just time to nurture them with some content for a while. Give them a little break and then promote to them the next time you launch something live, be it a webinar, a list build summit, an online challenge, any of those things that you create in order to build and engage your list.
Yes, definitely. So what mistakes do you see, and I don't know how many authors that you've seen or work with, but what mistakes do you see with authors, especially make with copywriting?
The biggest mistake, and this is about copy, about marketing, about all of it, and I say this with all the peace and love in the world, is your book, like you care about your book way more than anybody else is going to. I'm so sorry to say that, and I wish it wasn't the case. But it is. Okay. Right. And I get it. You have, and this is coming from someone who has been struggling to find a book idea for over 5 years. Your book is your baby. You are birthing a book. It is a big deal in your world. You're slaving over it. And there's blood, sweat, and tears, and your soul, and the best parts of your brain, and major transformation for your people. And your readers do not care about that at all. All they care about is, what's in it for me? That's it. What is in it for me? And so you can, yes, bring them along the book writing or publishing journey in the form of sharing content as you create it. If your book is published, if you want to talk about your book, that's great. Give them some lessons from it and show them how the book is going to continue that for them, for them. Or a minute ago or 2 minutes ago, I mentioned, like, I don't want to see you talk about yourself or refer to yourself until halfway through your email. That goes for like all of your copy. Right? Unless you're doing a very personality driven social post, which I do, right? It's like, hey, I'm doing this, or here's a selfie of me, or here's my cat. Like, that is one thing. But when you're delivering value, it's always all about them and the value they need versus you and what you want to teach. So that's another thing, is we have this idea of what people need to learn versus what people want to learn. And if have you ever tried to give advice to somebody who just doesn't want advice?
Yeah, I can be bad about that sometimes.
I'm so bad at that. Or people who, like, they ask you, I do this to my husband, like, does this look okay? And I really only want the "you look gorgeous" answer. Right? That's exactly what your people are doing. They're asking you a question, but they really only want the answer they want. So they might be saying, I'm going to use Sherilyn here, how do I drive traffic to my book? And frankly, she probably was hoping that I was going to come out with some magic mystical thing that was just going to drive traffic without a lot of money or work. And maybe she understood. I'm sure she understood that there's more to it than that. But there are people who want the magic pill.
Right. Don't we all?
Right. Who doesn't, right?
Magic pill, the easy button, all of those.
Right. Exactly. There's a reason fad diets are fads. It's easy. It's magic. It does, it's not work. It's magic. Just eat this food and you're going to lose weight. If you bust their dreams by showing them everything that has to really go into it to be successful, they're just going to see you as a dream buster. Okay. So give them quick wins. Give them little wins that they can get with you quickly, and easily, and without a lot of friction, so that they're more receptive when you're like, okay, now here comes the hard work. So a lot of times, and again, I know this, authors, you guys you've got so much in your head and you've spent so much effort and energy organizing it, and you cannot imagine just trying to distill it into like a page, right? Imagine if I'm telling you to take however long your book is, 100 to 200 to 300 pages, and turn it into one page. And I'm sorry that I'm asking you to do that, but I am, because that is what people need to get started with you.
Right. They need just that taste that's going to get them, like you said, the quick win.
Right.
And then they're going to be connected to you. And I mean, I think that reminds me of a client I have, is Grace. I did a 5-day challenge back in 2019. She'd been wanting to write her book, I think it was like 6 years. In 1 week, she made more progress with my 5-day challenge than she had in 6 years.
Exactly.
And she had that quick win. And she's like, if she can help me with this in a week, just think what she can do with this program she's talking about.
And that's the value of giving away things for free. Right? So you had a 5-day challenge. I'm assuming you didn't charge for it.
No.
Right. So she got that value for free and you got clients.
Right.
It's a great win-win situation. And because you're right, you delivered that quick win. When we talk about building programs and products, which I could go on for another hour about,
right,
that first module or that first week or that first month, they need a win. Otherwise, they're going to disengage.
Right. Because that's what's going to keep that momentum going.
Exactly.
And you've got to figure out what is a win for them.
Exactly. I love
what
that.
what is something that would be a win for them? For people I work with, a win is just getting that first chapter or an outline started, which I call the right plan. That's a win for them, because then they know, oh, I know what I can write about now. It's got some structure now, and it's not just this glob of an idea running around in my head.
Exactly.
And so you got to figure out what is your customer, client, reader glob of an idea that is going on in their head that you need to help them with, and get that distilled down, like you said, into that one page, that one thing. And essentially that's what I did with the 5-day challenges. I took what I teach my clients and made it down into like micro steps.
Yep.
I gave them, it was certainly 4 micro steps, because the last day was writing tips. But they took those 4 steps, and that got them on their way, starting with their book. So what are the, and that can be hard to do, because it was hard for me, because I think, well, this is what I teach. When it's something you do all the time, it comes easy to you.
Yes.
It's very hard to break it down even further. And you got to think like your client, or ask your clients, okay, when I was teaching you this, what were you thinking? What was the struggle? And so that then you know what others are probably thinking and struggling too. Because typically, if one person's thinking about this topic, whether it be health, toxic relationships, spiritual, there are other people thinking the same thing or something similar. So if you can get that point distilled down, and that is the hard part, and that's what's so hard about lead magnets, is figuring out what is that 1 or 2 things that they really need to know that would really help them. And you gotta sometimes gotta think out of the box. Something that helps me, I know, and I don't know if you ever do this, is go look at other people doing something similar to you and see what they're offering. And is it like, well, does that look interesting? Or it may spark an idea. Oh, I teach this and I could have them do that. And it could be this, or like you said, a checklist, or whatever, the 5 steps to have a healthy relationship, whatever it is, or healthy eating. But you've got to, it's just one of those things you're going to have to take the time to figure it out. Rarely is it going to just pop out. And a good way to do that is talk to other people. If you're a health coach or a spiritual coach or whatever you're doing, talk to other people and ask them, what are you working on? And sometimes when you talk about what other people are working on, it's like it frees your brain up to figure out what you're trying to figure out. And then your brain goes, because I'm in a group called 20K Nation, and it's all kinds of different entrepreneurs. And when we have our mastermind calls, a lot of times I don't go in with a question. Very rarely is there a burning question that I have. But listening to the conversation, it's like, oh yeah, I've been thinking about that, and I'm not sure what to do. And I listen to what they say. Oh, I could do this. So if you are struggling with this, find 3 or 4 people who do something similar. And it doesn't have to be the exact same thing, but just they're working on the similar idea, and talk it out. And usually you brainstorm and get that great idea that'll just come pop it out.
Exactly.
Well, Alyson, this has been awesome. So I got one last question for you.
Okay.
What words of advice or encouragement would you give to these writers that maybe they're struggling to either create their lead magnet or grow their email list? Like Sherilyn's got something, but she's having trouble getting people there. What encouragement or advice do you have for them?
So encouragement, this is a marathon, not a sprint. That's the first thing. And even though now that I'm already in the race metaphor, like, you're not running against anyone else. This is your race. So the only thing that I want you to do is do more, not necessarily better, but more than you did yesterday. Take a step further than you took yesterday, because you're not competing against anyone but you. It's really hard when you see people who are on big stages with bright lights and their name on marquees, and you're like, I want that, but that's their race. Okay, this is yours.
Right.
Okay, and now Doug actually just asked a quick question. How long should a lead magnet be? Yep, there it is. How long should a lead magnet be? I've seen 1-page lead magnets and free 50-page booklets. So I would prefer you to do a 1-page versus a 50-page. But so I have a lead magnet that I think is like 10 pages because it's it's a system, and so I want to make sure that I have enough time, but it's step by step. I also have another lead magnet that I think is probably 10 to 15, but they're much shorter with bigger text because it's a template type of thing. So I would rather you look at how long does it take someone to get through it, right? 50-page booklets, way too long because that's requiring a larger time investment.
Right.
Okay. So if you do a free video training, for example, I'd really love to see it be 15 or 20 minutes max, not a 45 to 65-minute webinar. If you do a video series, make them really short, 5-10-minute videos, 3 of them, right? I want the time and effort investment to be a little bit lower than somebody who's already in there. So you can take them from lead magnet to webinar. Awesome. They've already spent time with you. Because again, time is one of the currencies.
Right.
So it's like saying, hey, I know we just met, but can I have $1,000? No, but maybe, hey, do you have $1 I could borrow? I'm going to get a higher take rate on that, right?
Right.
Same thing. Hey, I know we just met, but here is a 50-page book. No thanks. Right? Or, hey, here's a checklist. It's just 1 page. You can print it out if you want. It's a whole different feeling. So think about that way. And Sherilyn, yours is 10 pages. That could be awesome. It could be too much. It could be too little. So, again, think about the time and attention that it's going to require. If you want to shorten it, shorten it. If you think it's good, keep going. But that's my advice there.
Yeah, Sherilyn, ask some people who downloaded it, see if what they get your feedback there,
Mm-hmm.
and ask what they think about it, because there's probably somebody you actually know about it, and see if what they say. Is it too long? Would you like it shorter? Would you like more bullet points, more images? Because if it's 10 prayers, are those prayers short or those prayers long? That's a different thing. If it's something short and you've just got a little bit of text on 10 pages, it doesn't take long to get through. But if it's 10 pages, with 250 words a page, then that's the more time.
Right. Exactly. The other piece of advice that I want to give is eventually, not right now, but eventually, I want you to have more than one lead magnet. Okay. So when I do podcasts, I speak on a bunch of different things. And this one is kind of a conglomeration of my expertise in general. And we've had a really good time. Sometimes I'll go and I'm specifically talking about sales pages, or I'm specifically talking about headlines or emails or this or that. And I'm going to have a better take rate of my lead magnet if I can connect it directly to what I'm talking about. So as an example, I was a guest expert on a summit. And I talked about my 5-step process for creating copy that converts without losing your mind. Okay, that was one of my signature talks. I taught it.
I love it.
And I sent people to my lead magnet that basically said, hey, you got the 5 steps. Now I've chunked it down even more into 10 to give you a little bit more of a granular, specific detail, because the 5 steps are like the top level. I checked my stats on my ClickFunnels account. I had a 96% opt-in rate for that lead magnet.
Wow.
96% of the people who came to my page opted in because my traffic was so on target. It was hot and ready, right? I'm never going to reduplicate that, by the way. Like, do not go out there expecting 96%. I'm just disclaiming that. I mention it because my jaw was on the floor. I screenshotted it. I was like, this is amazing. This is the best day of my business. But my traffic was on point. They were excited to be there. And it really connected with the topic that I taught on, that they saw me speak on.
Right.
So if you can, the more you can do that and really get super connected to your topics with your lead magnets, you're going to increase your conversions. However, build as you go. Don't feel like you have to do them all right now.
Yes, exactly. And that's something that I tell people, I've been doing this for 5 years, and I have built a lot of stuff over 5 years. I did not start out where I am now. It took time and a lot of energy to get to this point. So yeah, and like you were saying earlier, you can't compare my middle to your beginning,
Right.
or my third to your start.
Whatever.
Wherever I'm at, right?
My bloopers to your highlight reel. Like, it just doesn't work out that way.
Exactly. So, do you have anything else you want to share before we hop off? Well, you can connect with Alyson. If you go to the link that's in this, and I'll put it in here in the comments too, but it's therightcoach.biz 1504 /1504. And she's got a couple of lead magnets there. And here's the other thing. I would sign up for them just for the pure fact, hey, she's got excellent information, but check out her process too. That's how I have learned so much, is by watching other people who do it well and then emulate it. Make it your own, don't copy, emulate.
Well, and I am going to give a little bit of a disclaimer here that the cobbler's children have no shoes, and my process is not always the best. So do what I say, not what I do.
I so get that.
I spend so much time and so much effort. And, you talked about earlier, you're in books all day. And the last thing you want to do is read more books. I spend so much energy on my clients that sometimes by the end of the day, I'm like, nope, don't got it for me. So I've been working on it, and things are better than they used to be, but we're still building up where I know I need to be.
Exactly. Like you said, it's a journey.
Always.
Always on a journey. Well, thank you so much. And thank you, Sherilyn and Doug, for your questions and comments. And I appreciate you being here. And if you're watching the replay, or if you're still on here and you have a question or you think of it after we get off, feel free to post it in the comments, and I'll make sure that if I can't answer it, I will send it over to Alyson so she can answer it.
I'll be here.
I know she would be happy to help you with this. And so thank you again. And I look forward to staying connected with you, Alyson.
For sure. Thank you. This was fun. Good questions.
Yes. Thank you.